Welcome to the Bill and Gypsy Show.
Where we help you turn your wedding dreams of sunshine, lollipops, and rainbows
Into a wedding or event that will create oohs and ahs from your guests. You will definitely delight your guests if you listen to Gypsy and moi.
Bill Hansen has catered over 10,000 weddings, starting back in the 1960s, y'all. And while he is just barely 75 years young, he is not retired, he is refired. His weddings, over, like I said, 10,000 weddings in areas, places such as Villa Woodbine, the Sky Museum and Gardens, Deering Estate, you name it. Over 500 other venues are sought after with those folks with very distinctive tastes.
And there's lots more to Miss Gypsy than sunshine, lollipops, and rainbows. Gypsy has lived weddings her whole life. She has seen great weddings, she's seen not so great weddings, and she's even seen a couple that were disasters. But she has learned from these things, and between the two of us, we're here to share with you our experiences, because if you're planning your wedding or you're planning an event right now, you're probably to some degree a little nervous, a little confused, a little frustrated, worried about your budget. You don't need to worry anymore. We're here for you.
Well, if y'all love pizza, y'all are going to love this show today. Yes, we are live today from Villa Woodbine, and we're actually going to bring the pie right out of the oven to you. Yes, there is a company that just started, y'all, from this area that actually brings that wonderful experience of pizza to your own home. Vito and Chris Saradona, and I'm going to butcher the name of the company, Maestro Pizziolia. Is that right? I'm sorry. Anyways, welcome to the show, Vito and Chris.
Thank you, Bill and Gypsy, for having us today in this show at the wonderful Villa.
So Vito and Chris, first of all, welcome to beautiful Villa Woodbine. I'm honored to have you here. We met up in Weston perhaps 3 or 4 weeks ago when you were actually invading my neighborhood with your pizza catering. And of course, when I saw that, I said, what are they doing in my neighborhood? And then I followed up and found out, I checked with my neighbors, and they were so pleased with the work you did. So what I'd like to ask you now is tell us a little bit about how you guys got started in this pandemic. For many people, the pandemic has been more trouble than it's been worth, but you've actually been there. You've turned lemons into lemonade, or lemon pound cake. I don't think we have lemon pizza, but tell me about your story, please.
Of course, Bill. This pandemic has been not only a very significant time of crisis, it's also been a time of opportunities. We, unfortunately, with all the COVID restrictions put upon restaurants and different food venues, we saw that there was a big space for consumers that still wanted to eat their pies, go out to a pizzeria, but due to the safety restrictions, it was just not possible at the time. And we said to ourselves, how can we bring America's most popular food, which is pizza, to the consumers themselves in a safe and sound and secure environment where they feel comfortable and they can share this amazing gift of food with the ones they love the most.
And Vito, yes, pizza is something we all love. as a matter of fact, just thinking back, my twin sister and I, we were little, we used to make our own little concoction of a pizza, and my poor parents had to deal with it and eat it. But you got an amazing recipe for us, so let's get started. And I think you're going to start with the dough, and you're going to tell us all about that and what special dough you use and all. So let's get started with the recipe.
So Gypsy and Bill, this is our 48-hour proofed doppio zero Italian flour made into beautiful 8-ounce doughs that create each one of those, create one of our amazing culinary creations that we'll show you how to make in a second. The first step, you always need flour. Flour is a pizzaiolo's best friend. Why do I say this? Flour prevents your dough from sticking. So the most important thing is you grab a little flour, put it in your hands, put a little bit on your table, and then a little bit on your spatula. It's okay to get messy. All pizzerias are messy places, even if they're just in your home. Lightly but surely, we separate the doughs from their tray. That way, we maintain all of the oxygen that has been created from the fermentation process. A quick tip for all of you guys is when you want to take out the dough from your tray, it has to be like a one-time shot. Otherwise, it might lose its oxygen. A little bit more flour. We make sure that we have a rounded shape because the shape of your dough ball determines the ultimate shape of your pie. If your dough ball, once it's out of the tray, is not round, your pie won't be round. So the first step, always, when you're making pizza, at home, at a pizzeria, at the beach, for us, we do it everywhere where you want us to be, is to take the oxygen from the center, the cusp of the dough ball into the sides, which creates the cornicione, which in the USA we know as the crust. So here we just, this is what you want to see, air.
And then basically you try to distribute the air around the outside of the pizza, correct?
Correct.
What kind of flour do you use?
We are now using a Polselli Doppio Zero flour, which is a specially made blend of soft grain wheat that is manufactured specifically for pizzas.
Can you buy it in Whole Foods?
Not probably in Whole Foods, but you could definitely buy it online and bulk in places such as Restaurant Depot and Jetro. Once this first step is done, we flip it over, always knowing that the top of the pizza is on the other side, because that's the side that inflates better.
How can you tell what side's what? I'm just saying. How did you know?
Well, the secret is you have to always know that where you flip it.
Where you flip it.
Yeah. If you're flipping too many times, then you'll lose it.
So how did you learn how to do this?
Back in Philly, I was going to school at LaSalle University, and there was a guy named Vito, just like me, that owned a pizzeria, and they needed a helper. And I told him, look, I like to cook, teach me. And that was my first experience with pizza per se. I have always had a passion for the culinary arts, even though it's not something that I went to school for. But this is something that's been very important to me in my family and in our tradition.
Did he go to all the trouble you're going through
Not
to
at
make the
all.
crust?
Not at all.
Okay.
Not at all.
Because I couldn't see them doing this at Domino's or Pizza Hut.
No, not at all. So we continue our process of taking the air from the middle to the cornicione, so our crust. Once we have enough space to fit probably your hand, you start to stretch it out. You can use both hands, or I use one hand. It's a matter of style. No style is wrong or right. It's just a matter of taste.
But you don't do the swinging it up in the air?
I can do it for demonstrational purposes, but I don't recommend you guys do it at home. So here we are just, with my thumb, I start stretching out the dough without pressing on the crust. Once I have enough space to fit my hand, I bring it up. Remember that the hind side is the top. So we bring it and we start stretching it like this, from one hand to the other. And then you have to feel the groove and let the pizza do its own thing. The weight of the crust will be the one that opens it up. And it's getting bigger, and it gets bigger. Once I can fit my whole hand inside the dough, it's ready to stretch. And right now, we just stretch it slowly but surely.
How do you make sure you don't break it?
You have to let the dough speak to you. The dough knows where it can stretch and where it cannot stretch.
So don't try this at home.
So if you see here, we have a nice consistent center, very thin, almost like paper thin, and then the dimensions of the crust is thick. So I like to have the center be like a 1:3 ratio. So if this is 1 millimeter in the center, you know, you have to try to have something about 3 or 4 times that girth in order to make a healthy crust. Once we have our dough, then we go to our ingredients. Pizza is the most authentic and I guess the most austere plate that Italian food and cuisine has. We just use tomatoes and mozzarella. That's it.
So tell us about the tomatoes you're using.
These are San Marzano tomatoes that come from Campania near Napoli. These are grown in soil by Mount Vesuvius, which is a volcanic zone. So the erosion and the minerals from the volcano goes into the soil and creates a plum tomato that is not as acidic and is very sweet and savory, which makes perfect pizza sauce.
So where do you buy them here locally?
You can buy them locally at any Walmart or online on Amazon. There's a couple of brands, mainly Cento brand that imports the San Marzano plum tomatoes right here into the USA. So I like to use about 3 to 4 ounces of sauce. Not a lot, not a little, but make sure that we spread it out evenly across the whole pie. So here, you have to make sure that we leave, you know, half an inch for the crust and never cover it with sauce or any type of liquid, because that's going to prevent the crust from puffing up. We'll then grab mozzarella fior di latte, which is mozzarella that's maintained in water to maintain its freshness, and we'll add it slowly into our pie. This is not the common way of pizzerias that do pizza. They use manufactured, not manufactured, but I would say a more commercial grade mozzarella that is shredded. But since we like to keep our ingredients fresh for you and your family, we try to only use the best of the best. We then grab our peel. This is definitely the most challenging part of the pizza process, is input the pie itself onto the peel, where it's then going to be transported into the oven. So what we do is we always call to our best friend, flour. Flour will prevent our dough from sticking. Lightly flour your peel, and then in a one-stop shop, you can grab it and pull it and slide it out. Once it's here, you arrange your pie, and we're gonna bring it over, make sure it's not sticking, which is not, and it's going into the oven.
Tell us about the oven. How hot is that oven right now?
This oven right now is at 900 degrees. So the pizza is going to be crispy and very airy, and it's going to get out of here in roughly 80 to 90 seconds. So we're ready to get baking. We're gonna put our pizza in the oven. Always try to put it in the center of your oven where the heat spot is more consistent and the temperature will be the highest.
So there's a lot of moving parts in this, making this pizza, for sure. This requires a lot of TLC
Yep.
to make it, but I think when we get to taste it, we're going to reap the reward of all the hard work you're doing. Okay, so as we watch Miss Chris here garnish up the pizza with some basil and some other toppings, Chris,
Yes,
is it okay if I ask you a question?
sure.
Okay, good. What are your favorite pizzas, and what do you find are most popular with your very discerning clientele?
So we have two favorite pizzas. The first one is called Bianca Tartufata, and it has a white sauce base with 3 types of mushrooms, and it's topped with microgreens and a drizzle of truffle oil.
Yummy.
And the second favorite one is called Burrata and Mortadela, and it has a red sauce base with burrata, mortadela, arugula, and pistachio.
Amazing. Amazing.
Food is the magic that brings everyone together to the table.
Yes.
And tell us, with the pandemic and everything that's going on, what are your safety measures?
So, thank you for that question, Gypsy. I think that's something that's very important to address. We wear gloves and face masks. All of our equipment is thoroughly sanitized before and after each event, and we make sure that we practice social distancing everywhere we go, and we keep our food away from the guest until it is served and ready to eat. That way we can ensure the safety and the sanitation of all of our pies and calzone.
So how do you physically serve it to your guests?
So what we do is Chris is going to portion it out by cutting it in 6 to 8 slices, and then we're gonna grab our pizza peel.
Oh, I see you already have I've never seen a cutting board like that. You guys have little grooves in the cutting board,
Yep.
so you're taking the guesswork out of who gets the big piece.
Yes, sir.
They're all the same, hopefully.
I know you folks can't smell it from your home, but this smells absolutely amazing.
Yeah, this is amazing.
Here we have our Regina Margherita. Would you like to try?
Yeah, I do. I thought you'd never ask. Oh, my Lord. Unbelievable. So it's tasty, it's light, it's not really loaded down with calories, and the crust is over the top.
Thank you.
I
Bill.
applaud you.
Thank you.
Tell us, as we're just finishing up right now, what do you have to offer to everyone as your service? Do you feel that sets you apart from the rest of us?
I think that what stands us apart is the connection that we have with our guests. We are bringing our culture, our home, our tradition into our guests' houses and venues, and we always say that we begin as a vendor and client relationship, but we end our services as friends. So I think that type of relationship is what creates such a personalized and such a warm felt service.
Well, we want to thank you both for coming all the way over here from, I think, Miami Beach to be with us. And it means a lot to me because actually I've been in the catering business for 40 plus years, well, actually longer than that. Since 1964, I've been in the food business. I've never seen or tasted pizza like this. Absolutely unbelievable. So again, thank you. We can get all your information on our Bill and Gypsy show. So to my loyal viewers out there and to Gypsy's loyal viewers, I don't know if they like Gypsy better than me or me better than Gypsy, but I think we play very good off one another. So I want all of you out there, please, Like us on our YouTube channel. If you like what you see, view all the other videos that we've had. If you want to subscribe, we'd love to have you subscribe. And lastly, please tune in next week for the world famous, one of a kind, Bill and Gypsy Show. Thank you very much. And let's hear it for our wonderful guests again, Chris and Vito. Woo! Woo! Woo!
Thank you. Thank y'all.